My name is Paul and I am a mountain bike punter, an averagely skilled mountain biker who just so happens to live in the best place for mountain biking in the world, British Columbia, Canada, specifically Squamish. With more than 150 bike trails on my doorstep and the best bike park in the world just up the road, I'm pretty spoilt for choice. Not only that, but I'm also lucky enough to have a few mountain bikes at my disposal. With carbon frames, high quality suspension, and powerful disc brakes, I've never had it better when it comes to riding. But what if I took all that away? What if I tried to ride Whistler Mountain Bike Park on the cheapest bike available to me? I thought I would give it a go and see what happens. Of course, I'm not the only person to have given this a go. Channels such as Seth's Bike Hacks, Single Track Sampler, and Skills with Phil have already tried this. But just how many bike park laps could an average rider get through? It all started with a trip to everyone's favourite rental programme, Walmart. Unfortunately, the North Vancouver location didn't have what I was looking for, and while the nearby Canadian Tire did have a wide selection, with some low-priced models having such super modern features like an A headset and front disc brake, the returns and warranty policy didn't really suit my needs. Surprisingly, I didn't even need to go that far. In Squamish's own store, we found the ideal Huffy full suspension mountain bike. It even had 27.5 wheels. And well, the lady at the counter gave me the kind of reassurance you would hope for from your nearest retailer. Hello, can I borrow this?
Sure.
What's the returns policy?
For the bike?
Yeah.
So 90 days.
Okay, so if something breaks, perfect. A few scans later, and it was time to take it home for a once-over. After checking the bike out, I didn't think things would go too badly. Wind back the clocks 20 years and things like V-brakes, Shimano gears, rear coil suspension, a front suspension fork, and index shifting would have been enough to ride anything. The welds, on the other hand, didn't really fill me with too much confidence. I did need to do some modifications before hitting the park, starting off with swapping the brakes over so that my left hand operated the rear brake. It's probably been around 15 years since I last did this, and I had forgotten how tricky the cheap brakes can be to adjust. It took me about an hour to get them feeling close to okay. Now I did decide to draw the line at the plastic pedals. If I had my favourite DMR Volts on, I figured I'd be more comfortable and slightly reduce my risk of crashing. Smashing the wheels that seemed like they were made of cheese was the biggest concern though, so I added about 5 turns of tension to the spokes to make them as stiff as possible. My buddy Will was on hand to ride with me, but probably just came for the carnage. Give you quick first impressions.
It's a bit squeaky.
I think it's going to be a little more than a bit squeaky.
How do I get it off? Fucking hell. Jesus, it's an absolute tank.
Oh, it's also tied at the bottom.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Human.
Oh,
Light as a feather.
She's a good old girl. Nice wide bars. Firm. Nice rebound.
Well, this beast is trail rated. What can go wrong? And so to Whistler Village to see what would happen, and hopefully not dying in the process. There was some awesome chat with my fellow punters in the lift line. I'll put those together in another episode, as there was too much gold to edit into one video. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss that one for sure. First time. Thank you.
I would probably take the kickstand off myself, so.
The kickstand is probably the best bit. I'm sorry, sir, but you are wrong. Right, let's do this. Oh my god, it's noisy already! Ah! First jump, up! Every single bump savagely bottoming out. Oh god! Oh! I'm pretty sure that was backside. Oh god! Oh, it's so rough! And it's not even that rough. Oh! Look, I didn't want to go crazy on a black diamond trail to start off with. B-Line is most riders' first trail on Whistler and is filled with berms and is pretty smooth and flowy. Well, on a bike with working suspension at least. Ow! I feel like I should be pushing it a bit more. But I'm so scared. Oh! Oh! Yes, it worked! Oh! After hitting a small drop on Wednesday Night Delight, my confidence had gone from low to not so low. So it was time for Devil's Club. Now a blue tech trail, it was previously rated as black. I thought I was riding too slow before, but
Maybe we can tear now. Oh god! Bad breath. Oh fuck. Yeah. Oh god. Oh, this is. You want to freshen up your bike park? Get it a Walmart. Oh god, what line? Oh god, oh god, oh god! Yes! Woohoo! Oh no, oh god! Easy, easy, easy! Okay, I think that was the bit I was most worried about, but I'm sure that's actually not. Oh, the brakes just want to let go. Oh my god! What? Oh god, oh god, oh god! Ah! Yes! Oh, can you smell the rubber?
There's definitely some sparks flying in there.
Off what?
I don't know, like singeing off your mech or something.
I'm gonna try the Joycross track now. I've got some jumps and berms. It's gonna be just serious! Oh, oh god. Oh god! Ah! Oh, my arms pale already. Okay. Nope. Yeah, I got one. I did not want to fly into this. Oh! Ah! Oh, there's no brakes now. Maybe a bit too much. Oh! Oh god! That felt bad, that one.
I was so surprised the handlebars hadn't snapped off. I mean, I wasn't really pushing it at all because of the brakes, but it was still pretty rough. Guess I'd better step it up and go for a second lap.
Okay, crank it up.
Time for some crank it up action. A blue jump trail that is one of the most popular in the park.
Oh god! Ah!
This trail is definitely a way faster speed, but I thought I'd try a bit harder than the first lap and hit some of the features.
Ah! Oh! Oh, there's so much bottoming out. Ah!
With wall rides, tabletops and other jumpable features, I really was surprised when nothing bad
I
happened.
got a bit squirrely. Yeah! Oh god! He's probably done the inside, yeah he has! Up on the pedals!
In case you're wondering, this bike jumped as well as you think it would do. Like a kangaroo with no legs.
Where is it? Oh fuck! Oh!
Okay, so it survived Crank It Up. Might as well try a black rated trail now.
Okay. Here we go. This is the downhill black trail. Will we send it off here? Probably not today. Oh, little one. Ah! Ah! Ah!
With rock slabs and some faster speeds, Whistler Downhill is actually one of my normal warm-up trails on my downhill bike, but the warm-up bike made it quite a different experience.
Oh my god. Great, 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 great. Oh, oh my god. So scared. Oh my god, so scary. The brake. Oh god! Oh god, fuck! Yes!
The brakes really hit their limit here, and not wanting to completely wreck myself, I punted my way down the rest of the trail using the preferred tripod method.
Well, I think we just found the limit. Tripod! Oh no. I think my confidence may have gone. Come on. Oh, it's just a bit too much. Oh god!
With Heart of Darkness being the final trail of this lap, I almost couldn't believe that the bike had survived yet another trip down the mountain, even ending with me catching up to some fellow punters.
When you're ready. When you're ready. Excuse me. Right, on your left. Thanks.
Wow, 2 laps down. Something was starting to happen that I didn't really expect. The bike was outlasting the rider. As you have probably heard, that intense knocking sound is actually the suspension, and it wasn't doing very much. Combine this with the 40 psi I had in my tyres, and it was pretty exhausting trying to hold on.
I do not. Oh, that was a 6.
Better head back up for another lap, I guess. This time I headed down a full lap of Crank It Up. With the trail filled with braking bumps the size of microwaves, and my brakes now not working at all, I was starting to question if I would make it down in one piece.
Oh! No, you beat me down. Huh?
Has it been clean?
My hand's hurt.
Is it sketchy?
It's pretty sketchy. Although I have almost worn through the brake pads. Oh! Woo! Whoa! Yoo-hoo! Oh god! Oh god! Oh. Ah! Ah! Oh. I'm so tired. Ow, my fingers. Ah! Oh! Oh, this hole's so big! Ah! I just went death grip, but I can't stop off the brakes! Ah! Ow! Ow! I've dropped the chain! I think I can get it back on! Oh no!
So there it was, 3 full laps of Whistler Bike Park. A dropped chain and my rear shock spring coming undone. Is that it? No bent handlebars, no tachoed wheels, not even a puncture. I couldn't believe it. Sure, I hadn't sent it down at full speed thanks to Complete Fear, but the warm-up bike had done better than I ever thought. 3 full laps of the world's roughest bike park. That's not bad. Better celebrate with a beer.
Cheers.
Afterwards, there was only one thing to do. See if warm-up would take back the Huffy. With no brake pads left, I probably wouldn't agree with the trail rated slogan on the bike, but it did exceed my expectations, and unfortunately for Will's enjoyment, I ended up in one piece at the end of the day. But still, I wouldn't recommend you try it for yourself, and I don't think I'll be doing it again anytime soon. Oh, and I got my full refund.